when Sally Nuza was 7 months pregnant, she was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer and began chemotherapy straight away. But just a month later, she also discovered she'd contracted coronavirus.
Thankfully, Sally is now recovering and is due to give birth to her second child next month. She joins us now from Ascot with her 2-year-old son, little Jack there. Good morning to you, Sally.
Morning.
Morning. Say hello.
It looks like Jack's just... Hi, Jack!
Morning, Jack!
What a little sausage.
Yay!
There you go. Don't be sorry. It's lovely to see him this morning. Thrilled that he managed to get up and say hello to us. And we are absolutely delighted to have you with us as well, Sally. We can't imagine what you have been through, because it was quite a struggle, wasn't it, for you and your partner to get pregnant with your second child?
That's right. It's been a bit of a struggle for us to get pregnant with both of our boys. And we certainly weren't expecting to be able to have a second, so he's our miracle baby.
So the joy of finding out you were pregnant was then sort of hampered, of course, when you realised that you had cancer. How did that diagnosis affect you?
Obviously, it was scary, but I think, I only have stage 2 cancer, so that's really a positive thing. Thank you. It's a really positive thing, and I have an excellent prognosis at this point. So whilst it's been scary, it's just a question of working out how to handle it, what are all the things I need to do, and then getting on with it.
Clearly, you're staying incredibly positive and assessing the medical advice, but then to find out that you had coronavirus on top of that is a triple whammy, Sally.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, that night that I got the phone call to say I had a positive result, I felt a little bit cosmically picked on. But initially, I had practically no symptoms. So I felt incredibly positive and rather arrogantly assumed that I would just sail through it, which wasn't the case, unfortunately, in the end.
Yeah, we hear that at one point you were so ill you couldn't even stand up long enough to clap for the NHS. So that must have been a really terrifying time for you to be that poorly. Yeah, I mean, I think so cancer is a scary thing to face, but there's an element of control over what you can do about it, and there's treatment. The week that I was particularly bad with the coronavirus, knowing that the only thing I could do was take the next breath was pretty terrifying, to be honest. I don't think I've ever faced something that felt so close to death before. And how have you managed to stay positive? Because, you know, I just, all of the things that you've been through, you know, the difficulties in getting pregnant, then getting the cancer diagnosis, then getting coronavirus, which I understand initially you said, this is pretty annoying. How have you managed to just be able to keep things in perspective throughout all of this?
Well, to be honest, I think actually it's my sons that keep me going with this. They are such incredible fighters. You'll have noticed just now, so Jack has Down syndrome, which was not an expected diagnosis. We only found out after he was born. And he's had medical interventions for the last 2 years. And he is the most positive and cheerful and relaxed child you'll ever meet. And, you know, I never thought I would ever meet a child as tough as my first son. And then along comes my second, and, you know, he has to grow at the same time as a cancer in me. And then I've put him through 2 rounds of chemotherapy already. And on top of that, he had to survive with me when we had coronavirus. And his growth hasn't dropped even by a millimetre. He is, you know, a perfectly healthy baby. Aww. So I just concentrate on them, really.
Well, that's really good to hear. And I know it's also the doctors, the care that you've been getting that's been of a huge support for you as well, hasn't it?
Extraordinary. I have a team. I was actually working out the other day. Over the last 6 weeks-ish, there's been about 45 NHS health professionals dedicated to making sure that me and my baby are safe, which is, you know, incredibly humbling. And I have a wonderful oncologist, Dr. Ruth Davies, who has been so supportive and so helpful, despite the fact that obviously I am quite a complicated case. I have an amazing obstetrician, Dr. Helen Walker, who, you know, from the beginning, obviously, my baby has been the thing that worries me the absolute most out of this. And she has very calmly and in a very reassuring and very caring way just walked through with me what are all of the possible challenges that we're going to have, and we've worked out how to deal with them. And then there are people who are not linked to the NHS as well. There is a charity that is supporting me called Mummy's Star, and I would say to any pregnant women or new mums or mothers who've unfortunately suffered a loss in pregnancy, who also have cancer, you should reach out to them. They're an extraordinary organisation.
They sound amazing.
And support and guidance, and they're wonderful.
They sound... Sally, you've got a team of 45, a wonderful charity, but you singled out two people in particular, your oncologist and your obstetrician. We've got a little surprise for you, because when we said that we were going to have you on the show, we decided we were going to get your angels to join us as well. I'm not sure if you can see them on the screen there, but joining us now this morning is Dr. Ruth Davis in Reading and your obstetrician, Dr. Helen Walker, who is live in Surrey. Can you see them there?
Good morning.
Oh, wow. Hello, both. Oh, it's so lovely to see you.
So, look, we've just been hearing how wonderful you are. Ruth, if I can come to you first, because I'd imagine that sort of being presented with any sort of case when someone is pregnant and then has coronavirus is complicated, but then to compound that with the cancer diagnosis as well, that's pretty full on.
Yeah, it is a slightly daunting prospect, getting someone safely through chemotherapy whilst they're pregnant in the first place, and then adding onto that after the first cycle of chemo to then find that they've had a coronavirus infection as well was not the news I was hoping for, maybe, but bless her, Sally was really brave and sensible and pragmatic all the way through. She's just remained calm in spite of what sounded really literally like fighting for her life at one point. It was, each breath was really a struggle for her, and she has recovered really well. And I think just obviously she singled me out, but the team of the chemotherapy nurses and the acute oncology nurses and the GP surgery who all got involved with supporting her, along with Helen and the midwife team as well. It's been a huge number of people involved in looking after her, and yeah, it's we always work as a team in the NHS, and that's, I think, what people feel the benefit of.
Oh, well, well done to you all. And Dr. Helen, coming to you, because obviously, you know, it's a difficult time for any pregnant woman at the moment, isn't it? I know you set up a special plan so that Sally didn't have to come into hospital for her scans. How do you feel about how she's coped with everything that's come her way?
I mean, she's amazing. Right from the first day that I met her in the antenatal clinic, she's been really positive. Obviously, she's had a hard time in the past, as she said, about not being able to get pregnant easily. And then when she got the diagnosis of the breast cancer, it didn't knock her down. She just contacted me and said, OK, this has happened. What do we do next? Where do we go next? And likewise, when she got COVID, you know, it was not ideal. It made my heart sink when I heard that she'd got COVID. But again, it was, OK, where do we go now? What do we do next? And I think, as both Sally and Ruth have said, we work in a fantastic team with midwives, sonographers, the oncology team, and we just all liaise together and try to come up with a plan that is safe for Sally and safe for her baby.
Sally, we obviously, Ruth and Helen, are going to pass on the praise to the rest of the team. We know the team are important, but you can now take centre stage to tell us just how special and important they have been for you and your family.
Wow. Well, there are really no words. I think you flashed up there. They are my angels. I think they're far more than heroes. And Helen and Ruth in particular obviously have been extraordinary, and I can't thank them enough. But exactly as Ruth said, the wider team as well. There is a chemo nurse in particular, Polly, who has managed to make chemotherapy almost fun. I have actually enjoyed my time spent there because she is so calming, and we've managed to have a giggle through the sessions. So, you know, people like that are amazing. Helen very kindly put me in touch with a group of people called the Heart's Milk Bank, who have provided me with 6 weeks worth of donor milk so that my newborn son will be able to be fed on breast milk, which is probably the most amazing gift I've ever been given in my entire life. And I suppose I just want to say thank you so much to all of these people who are working so hard to keep us safe. It's extremely humbling and overwhelming.